In both the United States and Canada, forms may be necessary for the government to track vendor year-to-date payments. Adagio Payables can generate these forms for you. For American 1099 forms, you must first edit the company profile. And on the System Options tab, choose to process the 1099 form type. This reveals a separate tab for 1099 options, which is simply setting the next year end date. The next step is to edit each vendor for which 1099 forms will be tracked. And on the Accounting tab, choose to process 1099. Optionally, also choose a form type for the purposes of filtering when printing, where these codes are configured from the 1099 form types screen. Every time a payment is posted for this vendor, the amount on the Statistics Year-to-Date tab for year-to-date 1099 payments will be updated. Additionally, payments posted with a date after the 1099 year-end will instead increment the next year 1099 amount to keep current year processing separated. To generate the 1099 forms for the current year, from the Reports menu, select 1099s. Select the specification used for printing the 1099 forms, and also select the 1096 summary specification if this form is also necessary. If the form has more than one vendor on a page, indicate this here, and enter the number on each page. If a minimum year-to-date amount is necessary for a form to be printed for a given vendor, enter that amount as the starting range. Then the forms can be printed. When all forms have been printed successfully, the amounts need to be cleared from the Maintenance menu and purge Vendor 1099. This process will move the next year 1099 amount to the new current year amount for each vendor and increment the next year-end date to 1 year later. For Canadian T5018 forms, for construction or subcontractor vendors, there are similar setup requirements. The company profile must be enabled for 5018, or both if U.S. vendors are purchased from, and 1099 filing is also required. The 5018 Options tab has the next year-end date and information for electronic T5018 filing. Vendors must be set up for T5018 when posting and printing from the Accounting tab, and processing set for T5018. Select a form type for filtering use when printing, if needed. T5018 requires specifying a recipient type, where individual proprietorship requires a social insurance number, and partnership requires a filer identification number. To be able to edit this field, access must be granted via the security group setup for the SIN or FIN number. And the Statistics Year-to-Date tab displays the current and next year T5018 amounts. If you have less than 50 forms to print for the current year, this can be done from the Reports menu and 5018s. Select the specification for printing forms, either for vendors or government, and also the T5018 summary form. Other options for number of forms per page, vendor selection, and printing is the same as for 1099s. For more than 50 forms, they must be filed electronically to government, and this is done from the Maintenance menu and File T5018 forms. Select the vendors to include, and an export to an XML file is created for upload to Revenue Canada. When all forms have been printed or uploaded successfully, the amounts need to be cleared from the Maintenance menu and purge Vendor 5018. This process will move the next year 1099 amount to to the new current year amount for each vendor, and increment the next year-end date to 1 year later. Generate government year-to-date payment forms easily with provided 1099 or T5018 specification forms. Find out more about Adagio from the product page on our website. Watch another training video on this Adagio program from the playlist, or subscribe to the Adagio YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.